JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, January 15, 9/18. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P in the green. Seems like yesterday is eons ago. Joking aside, S&P's up about 0.5% here. Nasdaq up over 1%. No news or catalyst, right? I guess you would say geopolitical situations have eased, right? The threat of some action in Iran has come down, but I mean, was there really going to be some action in Iran? Who knows? And then it's like, was the reason the market sold off yesterday because of that geopolitical tension? I don't think so. But what else do you have? This yesterday was the bank earnings, right? So is this the start of some kind of bigger profit taking? Uh, so you take a look at some of these banks. This is the start of some kind of pull. JP Morgan kicked it off on Tuesday. Then you had Wells Fargo, Bank of America. So those names are selling off. Is like, is this the start of some kind of pull in the banking sector? Is this because of the possible 10% cap on interest rates on credit cards? And then yesterday, people still to try to rationalize moves in the market. Yesterday, it's because of the uncertainty around the ruling on the Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs. But that ruling was supposed to come on Friday, and then it was supposed to come yesterday. So is that really it? To me, it's like some of this stuff. I think short-term little smoke and mirror kind of situation where it's like I think the market's baked in a lot of these different things, and it seems like right now it's like probably the market's set to go higher. It's just have to get over some speed bumps. Well, we'll see how things play out. I'm not going to sit here and pat myself on the back. I was saying that yesterday, but 696. If you listen to my rants for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I keep talking 686. I keep talking about that as a key spot on the SPY. Sure enough, what happened yesterday? 686.04. So didn't get down to 686. Came darn close. Continue to have that as a area of support if there's some kind of shenanigans today. 693 as possible. Hang on one second. As possible resistance right here at 694. Would love to see some chop here today. Maybe I would. I mean, of course, I would love to see a moonshot over 700 on the SPY, but that's probably not healthy for longer term. So consolidation maybe 692 to 695, 696. I think we got up to 696 on Tuesday. So maybe that might be a little area. And yeah, go from there. And then next week earnings. So Martin Luther King holiday on Monday, so markets closed. Netflix kicks off kind of like the tech sector Tuesday after the close, and go from there. The thing is, I guess you could say with the markets, TSM this morning, right? The Taiwan Semiconductor monster results. I mean, you kind of knew it was going to be monster. It's similar to NVIDIA earnings, right? We know it's going to be a monster number, monster results, monster guidance, monster conference call. It's just how is the market can react. And you see some of these names, Lam Research, ASML, all those going bonkers this morning. So positively reacting to those numbers. We'll see how the rest of those names as the earnings season goes on in the AI space, how that plays out. All right, that's overall markets. Just quick on individual names. So 693 on the resistance, 686. And, I talk about put hedges, right? Always be hedging. Want to be in a spot where you don't get caught with your pants down. And yesterday, I said it for the last couple of days. It just felt like we're going to have some type of greed reset. It's just yesterday. We're down at 686 on the SPY, and you look, and half my watch list is in the green. You look at the amount of stocks trading in the green. There was more stocks higher than lower yesterday at the lows, and the amount of stocks trading over their 50-day moving average and 200-day moving average on the SPY were higher. So it's hard to get aggressive on the put side when it seems like the market's holding up, right? So again, I don't want to be in a spot where I get caught with my pants down. When we do get a substantial pull, I will be prepared for it. I'll be in some puts. I was talking, let's see if I have the Broadcom chart. The frustrating thing, I get the Broadcom puts, close them out when the SPY's holding 686, and then Broadcom continues to roll, and even though it dropped another $2, the puts were still flat. So that just shows you how tough, number one, how tough option trading is, number one. And number two, to make money on downside. Unless we have a substantial pull, it's going to be tough. All right, so that's overall market. Quick on individual names. First, I'll just talk about Viking Therapeutics, one of my favorite names for over the years. I remember I put on the watch list. I was trading this back in the day. It was a NASH story. If you didn't know about NASH, it was kind of like the scarring of tissue, names that it's an untreated ailment that take a Madrigal, MDGL is the ticker. They finally have a drug out there to help with the scarring of the liver tissue. So it was a whole unaddressed market, and billions of dollars supposedly of a total addressable market on a yearly basis. They're in there first, but Viking Therapeutics, used to be named Intercept Pharmaceuticals, used to be names I traded for possibility that those names would get into the market, right? So that's how VKTX came into my attention. And then it transformed into the GLP-1 space, right? It wasn't a GLP-1 name back in the day because that wasn't, no one thought it was going to be the monster treatment that it is now. So anyway, fast forward to now, I was trading it on and off from $8 up to 40, up to 80, and then trying to trade for a possible buyout. Phase two data on the oral GLP-1 was coming over the summer. I said, if they don't have a monster result and the stock doesn't go bonkers, I'm not going to trade it for a while, right? So, of course, what happens in August? Decent numbers, right? Decent data, just not enough for investors. Stock got pummeled, and that's it. Now, fast forward again to today or yesterday, and it's back on radar. JP Morgan Healthcare Conference, all these GLP-1 space names are in the conference. And then yesterday in the morning, NVO CEO comes on and says something to there's a quoted remark saying that they're open to some M&A if they can find some acquisition that's better than what they have, right? In GLP-1 space, who is the best in breed in that? VKTX's solution. So anyway, you take it for what it is. Whether VKTX is a buyout, I don't know, but it's at $32. It starts finding a bid. I get some lotto calls, and boom, it's off to races. 33, 34, 35, all the way up to 30, 36 by 3 o'clock. Lock some of the calls out for 100%, 200%, close to 400%, and then I went and got some February strikes. The thing is, the premiums, if you look past February, are insane. So I'm not going to look to get higher strikes just yet. So I'll just continue to hold the Februarys. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to lock some of those in for 100% to cover cost. But if there is a name that gets acquired in the GLP-1 space first, I think it's going to be Structure Therapeutics. GPCR is the ticker. Maybe it is VKTX. So I'm in calls now. Maybe, hopefully it is. If it is, if you take a look at VKTX, it's a $3.8 billion company, $700 million in cash. So plenty of runway to do most of their studies and all the costs associated with getting a drug to market. They already have a production deal as well. So there's a lot of things to like about the company. If there's M&A, you have to think it's $100, if not higher. So anyway, needless to say, I have the weekly strikes. I have to close some out either the rest today or tomorrow. Still have the Februarys. I'll lock some in to cover costs and ride the rest. That's VKTX. Pool monster day. Well, not monster. Slow and steady upside, up another 1%. Close more of my 270s out for 600%. Holding the rest. Should have a few left. Gonna get some February 290s, 300s, whether that be today or tomorrow. The thing is, it was 5 days in a row, so maybe there'll be a red session. So maybe I want to wait. But it's, unlike VKTX, it doesn't have that possible specter of a buyout. So that gives me an opportunity to be a little patient. But if I see an opportunity, maybe after I close out the strikes today or tomorrow. NKLR, I keep talking about this one. Maybe it does have some kind of FOMO, maybe it doesn't, but it just has all the ingredients for some kind of crazy move. So up near 650, I don't know why I don't have my chart that shows the last highs in December was around 650, right where we are now. I think if it gets going, it's going to be FOMO. So obviously I have some January strikes. I want to see it happen today or tomorrow. Still have those February strikes. And then I put on the watch list. If things get crazy, maybe it's over $7 after the open. Don't be surprised if I start rolling out to March. RH disappointing. So you had that Supreme Court ruling. It wasn't even a ruling. They just announced, well, not announced. There's no ruling yesterday in regards to the tariffs. I still think it heads 250 plus. Sure enough, it gets up to 230. Thankfully, it gave me the opportunity to lock out most of my calls with some profits. Don't be surprised if I add some spec calls into next week on RH. Excuse me. SG still in the green here. Unfortunately, closes up 2.7%, but my calls are not doing much. So maybe today's the day it finally gets going over $8. Solar Edge in the green yesterday, despite the red day. To me, I guess that's a good sign. Still have my strikes this week, so I'll have to close the last of my 38s and 40s. And then I'll be looking for some strikes into next week to play for that. Well, maybe even further out to play for that move over into the 40s. Cardlytics, solid day yesterday, finally up 5.7%. I don't want to be in a spot where I'm chasing this one. That's why I have the April calls. If it starts getting mojo, take a look, 200-day moving average, 163. Maybe I'll get some strikes there. And then other things, right? Roblox. Gosh, kicking myself yesterday morning when the stock's spiking at $87. My 90 strikes are up 300%. And then sure enough, gets taken to the woodshed. I wouldn't say taken to the woodshed, but closed down 2%. Still looks like it's set to rally. So you can make the case it's to 102 in the coming weeks. If that's the case, might look to get some strikes to play for that move or continue to look for opportunities there. Still, I have the rest of my Reddit calls. Thankfully, I locked some of calls in to cover the cost on Tuesday. I still think it heads north of $300, but like all these other names, timing is the issue. Take a look at SanDisk this morning. Two more analyst changes. One raising our price target, I think, to 560. Crazy stuff. And that's that. We got 3 minutes to open. Funny, Calivo, right? One of my top 5 stocks from 2014 acquired yesterday. Put another notch in my top 5 stocks for 2026 webinar. But all my top 5 stocks, that's 55 stocks that I've profiled over the last 12 years. 17 have been acquired. Pretty good, pretty good ratio there. Anyways, have a great day, folks. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.